All right, welcome back. So former President Obama's campaign manager in 2012 rather, is saying that Donald Trump remains a worry, but he's also laid out his playbook as to how President Biden can win again. Jim Messina says that President Biden has many paths to victory next year. He identified 7 states to watch this election. That includes Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina. I mean, we sort of knew that those are like...
Wait a minute.
Where's the breaking news banner?
Did someone pay him for that?
There, Chris, there's this 22-page slide deck in which he goes through it.
People love a slide deck.
He basically laid out like 4 different scenarios. What'd you make of it?
Not too much. I mean, there's another state. There's 12. You could say there's 12 states or 13 states that are potentially in play. Then you come down to that core group, the 5: Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Arizona. You could do whatever. That's all a bunch of flummery at this point. Who cares, right? Joe Biden's the incumbent president. Donald Trump is very unpopular, even more unpopular than Biden, who's unpopular. So the most likely outcome. But that's a straight line projection. What I care about are what are the things that are going to shape the electorate between now and then? That's why we have the 5 known unknowns.
So you wrote an article recently, 5 known unknowns for 2024. We've got the outline for next year's election, but we'll have to wait for the details. And you say the 5 are the economy, foreign affairs, scandal, health, and other parties.
Right. So Jim Messina or whomever that wants to make a straight line projection from today until we're just after Labor Day. Labor Day is the traditional beginning of the general election season.
Yeah.
For the final tranche of persuadable voters, that 5 to 15% of the electorate that gets to decide the election in these swing states, they don't know what they think yet, and they don't know what they feel. How's the economy? Do they feel better by the summer of next year about the economy? How's Ukraine going? How's the situation with China? Hunter Biden, Donald Trump, many trials. How does that go? How's Joe Biden's health? And does the No Labels Party get any momentum? And are they really going to be on the ballot in 50 states? We don't know how any of that stuff is going to go. And conjecture about what it's going to be at this point is just a bunch of beltway blabber.
If you know how the economy is going to go in the summer of next year, please let me know.
If I knew how the economy was going to be in the summer of next year, I wouldn't be here. I promise you that.
Do you really think that foreign affairs has that big a role? I mean, everybody says it does during the campaign, in the primary it might, especially the Republican primary, but I just don't know anybody back in my district who ever voted one way or the other based on foreign affairs.
All of these things, other than the economy, foreign affairs, scandal,
or secondary
health,
after that,
can break through. Right?
Okay.
Every election, so we can think about 2004 is a very clear one, 1968, but basically every election is a referendum on the condition of the economy. Do we want things to keep going this way, or are we willing to take a chance to do something different? If the economy is good, people will keep even an unpopular, but yes, sometimes, like 2004 is a great example, national security penetrates through the bubble, and even when gas prices are high, even when the economy is sluggish, George W. Bush can get reelected. That's my point, any of these other things can break through and change that. And there's just so much football left to play that talking now about, I think it's North Carolina versus, there's a bunch of states that are competitive.
You can say.
Yeah, well, there's a bunch of states that's competitive. That's why my colleague David Drucker, that's why we read David Drucker every week to get the incremental changes in the condition.
Maybe we need to be reading that. But
3
this
yards
morning,
in a cloud of dust.
That's right, you got it.
When I woke up and I saw Politico Playbook and it said Jim Messina won the election for Barack Obama,
exception.
I think a lot
go.
of people who worked on the campaign would take exception. I mean, Jen O'Malley Dillon was critical in that election. Jim Messina, he had changed our motto from respect, empower, include in Iowa to respect, empower, include, win. He was all about, win. And then he went and worked for Theresa May. So a lot of us have a lot of questions on his moral compass, and I'm not sure everybody's taken his advice.
How do you do with Theresa?
By the way, I want to defend Chris a little bit on foreign policy and national security. There are times, and again, it's because it's an unknown. If Americans feel unsafe, if Americans are concerned about overseas crises, it can factor in quite significantly into their vote. By the way, 2014, the midterm elections in 2014, part of what powered Republicans, and they won 9 Senate seats, almost 10 that year, surprising. Some of us, we thought they'd win the majority, but didn't think they'd do quite as well as they did. There was a lot of anxiety about ISIS, who hadn't been contained yet.
Great point.
And it just drove this general feeling about President Obama at the time that he did not have this under control and he needed to have a check on his decision making. And so don't rule out, even though all those things matter, don't rule out foreign policy rearing its head.
We talk about Ukraine right now. It could be China, potentially,
Right.
and then everything that's...
Could be Taiwan.
Could be, yeah, who knows, a year from now. All right, well, come.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.